This is Everything is Personal with Len May.
Hey everyone, welcome to Everything is Personal. I'm Len May, and this is my wonderful, sexy, beautiful co-host. Great to see your face without a mask, John Small.
How you doing, party people in the place? Glenn, it is wonderful to be here. It is funny to be without a mask, and thank you. I do not seem to have gotten sick, so it was all in vain, probably.
Some negative.
So yeah.
That's a good litmus test.
You're negative, yeah. So that's good. But it is lovely to be back with you.
Thank you.
And I'm excited about this episode because I'm going to learn something about myself today.
Yeah, today you have to be sort of my litmus test too, and I'll tell you why. Because we're going to geek out. I'm going to go deep into the EndoDNA test. We're going to review your own DNA compatibility with cannabis, and we'll review mine, and we'll see what the differences are. It'll be interesting. I have never shared mine before.
Really?
People use mine for samples, like when they do a DNA, but I've never used mine because we already have a sample one. So this will be interesting for me to share.
I'm excited. I'm to get a little sneak peek into what makes Len tick. This is going to be interesting. Plus, we can understand why I am such a neurotic mess. I'm excited to find that out finally, once and for sure. Thank you, DNA. Thank you, all you Ashkenazi Jews in Russia that have passed this.
I was going to say we're starting to see a pattern. Something we're referring to as the Jew gene.
No way.
Yeah.
Do I want to find out if I have it.
Can't disclose that yet. That's
okay.
Something that'll come up.
Maybe you can hint at it. Like,
I'll definitely hint.
Very interesting. Yeah. If I don't have the Jew gene, I don't know who does. I mean, it's the Larry David. Anyway, we all sort of have it, and it's probably why a lot of Jewish people relate to each other, because even if you're not religiously Jewish like me, you have a kind of cultural connection or some sort of genetic connection with a lot of fellow Jews. It's interesting.
Well, happy Jewish New Year, Shana Tova.
Yes, Shana Tova. All right. Well, I am clearly not fasting. Should I be fasting? Was that yesterday? I don't remember.
I don't think that's the right holiday.
Okay. This shows you just what a good Jew I am.
I'm just as Jewish as you, and I'm the tattoo Jew. So
yeah, you tattoo Jew. Just all right. Well, what's the best way to do this?
Yeah. So let me just. The best way to do this is to log into your portal, and while you're doing that, and share your screen, and then you drive, and I'll explain kind of why we do it this way. What the hell this test is anyway. The idea of the test is that I learned over the years that different people really have different experiences with the same type of cannabinoid profile.
Yeah.
Many people have a different experience. And a lot of it has to do with, you're putting in all kinds of stuff in your body that you don't really know, these strain names and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's the profile and how that works with your DNA that turns things on and turns other things off. So that's really why we did that. And looking at your DNA is sort of the beginning of everything. That's how everything starts.
Now, can you see my screen right now? You can.
Yeah, I can see your screen. Yeah, I see MyDNA Live. So the reason why it's MyDNA Live, our website and our product is EndoDNA, endodna.com. But the reason why we have it MyDNA Live is because that's your secure anonymized portal, and that's HIPAA compliant. And I just want to state this up front, because the other day I was at a Jewish New Year's party with I think there was only 2 Jewish people. It was all non-Jewish people. I think they just like the fact that you can party and have Shabbat and all
everybody loves
stuff.
That.
Yeah, so it was a good time. But they were talking about this, and they said, "Oh, I don't want to give up my DNA. You're going to clone me." I said, brother, let me tell you something. You see this glass you're drinking? If I want to clone you, I will swab this glass and I will take it to my lab and I will clone you. You're not that important, really. So
I've never heard the clone thing. That's pretty egotistical. I've heard my privacy, and people worried that like somehow they're going to get arrested for being the California serial killer, the Golden State Killer. I don't know what it is, but people, particularly people that are more susceptible to being arrested, groups.
Maybe they have something to hide.
Yeah, maybe, but no. But certain people who are fearful of the police are worried about putting their DNA out there. I think. What's your response to that?
Yeah, I mean, this is the future of. So fingerprints are going to go away. Everybody that gets arrested or anybody that goes into the country, anything that's going to happen, they're going to swab and get their DNA into a database. That's the future. Everybody's going to do everything by DNA. So it helps get a lot of people out of jail that were falsely accused. Also, it helps to be in a database. If you're going to do something, that's going to have a DNA mark there, you're going to be found out much quicker than fingerprints. So it's a much more accurate method. There's no avoiding the future. The technology that we have right now. So the FBI already put out the funds to have a desktop sequencer. There's a company that already makes that. It sequences your DNA within 30 to 45 minutes. It's not the same as ours, where it has 700 different genetic markers or SNPs. All you need is a handful of them, and it can be done in a closed machine within 45 minutes or less. So this is going to be instantaneous DNA tests are the future. That's going to
interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be something that people are looking at. But at the end of the day, you also care about your epigenetics. And I'll kind of explain what that is. Your DNA is your genetic predisposition. Your epigenetic is how that gene is expressing itself in the real world. So if you have a genetic predisposition to insomnia and you sleep great, but all of a sudden, and it happened to a couple of people that I know, all of a sudden they start waking up in the middle of the night, that gene expressed itself, and you can measure on a cellular level that gene turned itself on.
Hmm. Now, how is this related to your cannabinoid system, and how can what you see in your DNA affect or impact your reaction to cannabis and CBD products?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we'll dive into it a little bit more as I'm going through your report. But the gist of it is we have an endocannabinoid system. So this system is so interesting because it modulates. Think of it as like your puppet master sitting on top of all the other systems, and it modulates all the other systems that you have. And the reason why it does it this way, it actually, think of it like salmon swimming upstream. It takes signals from all your other systems, and it brings it back through your central nervous system, through the synapse, up the neurotransmitter, and it says, okay, this system is unregulated. There's something that's lacking, so it says more of this chemical needs to go out. So it actually modulates all the other systems. So the reason why your DNA plays a big role in that is because certain things that you put in your body can actually trigger an adverse event, and you may not have a really good experience, like we've discussed on previous shows.
Really? So, have we discussed that? I was not aware.
At nauseum, and we're going to do this again today.
Here we go.
The idea is to help somebody think of it more as I think I used this analogy before, but I'll use it again because it's very easy for people to understand. Think of it as your Waze or your GPS. Mm-hmm. So it'll show you this road over here has a traffic jam. There may be an accident. You're going to get stuck here. Over here is a much better road. Now, it doesn't guarantee there's not going to be a pothole along the way, and that's where the epigenetic comes in. But it's a lot more accurate knowing that if you're lactose intolerant, right? You have a gene that shows you're missing an enzyme to be able to metabolize a dairy product. Now, if you don't know this about yourself, you're going to find out the hard way. You're going to consume dairy and it's going to be like, oh man, I think I'm lactose intolerant. But if your DNA shows you are actually missing this enzyme because this gene has what's called a polymorphism or some sort of expression of the mutation, then you will know that it's probably something you want to avoid. So that's the kind of thing we're showing in the cannabis space.
So this is interesting. So somebody will get this test as completely protected. Once they get the results, I have the benefit of knowing you and be able to go through it with you. Is there a way that they can get a consultation in some way on their results? I mean, it's very, and you, as you will see as we go through this, and for those who are not watching on YouTube, we will explain it. But it is very detailed. Like what you read is very, very detailed. But you might want to have somebody like you, not you personally, but to go through it. So how does that work?
Well, if they're a friend of yours, then
I'll send them your way.
Yeah.
All right, you hear that? All my friends, they're like, "What's up?"
But we have a concierge service that you can apply to, and then somebody will help you go through those.
Oh, that's great.
A counselor. But we do have a summary that we call the Bob from Iowa summary. So if you don't give a shit about the science, here is the summary, and here are the products and the formulations that will match best with you. So we have something like that as well available.
Great.
Part of the report.
Well, shall we do a little road test here? We'll go through mine, and not obviously every detail of my life, but certainly some high level things. And also we're going to do yours as well. And I think we can all learn a little bit about ourselves just from looking under the hood of our each mutual DNA test. So I am going to share my screen now with you.
Do we need a drum roll?
Yeah, this is pretty exciting. For those watching at home, this is what we call live TV. Okay, I'm screen sharing, so there it is. I'm going to take this off my screen so you don't have to look at that part. And here we go. Should I do a full screen? I don't even know how to do that. All right.
Okay. So you're gonna have to drive for me, but
of course,
I'm gonna describe to people what it is. So this is our welcome screen in MyDNA Live. It just tells you welcome and gives you some information. On the left side, there are 16 different categories.
Hold on 1 second, Clint, and you glitched a tiny bit there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 1 sec. See if you come back. I don't know why you're glitching. Am I glitching for you?
Yeah, no, it says that the internet connection is unstable.
Okay. So why don't you say that? So you started with what we're seeing on the screen.
What we're seeing on the screen is a welcome page, and on the left side, it shows you all the endocannabinoid system reports by category. There are 16 different categories, which I'll go over, and 76 reports in total. If you scroll down a little bit where it says access your personal wellness plan, so there's a blue button. This one is a health survey, and I'll explain what that is.
Yes.
So we ask everyone to take a health survey, and we do it for two reasons. Number one, we get a baseline of understanding where you are before you start with consuming any cannabinoid product. So we have your baseline, and we know what it is in terms of your pain and everything else. The second reason why we do that is because we create a personalized wellness plan. And a personalized wellness plan looks at what it is that you're experiencing in the moment versus your genetic predisposition. So we were just talking about that, but I'll give a real example. So insomnia, we talked about sleep. So you may have genetic predisposition towards insomnia, but however, you sleep great. You don't have any issues with sleep. But right now, stress or inflammation, that's something that's important to you. So when you take your survey in the wellness plan, we'll provide you those things first because they're most important to you right now. And that's sort of the epigenetic profile. That's what you're experiencing. The other thing that I want to point out is underneath where it says your survey-based report, there's a little new badge, an EW, and it says get your drug interaction report. This is really, really, really important. You can click on that for a second if you want to show.
And then where is that on the where is that to click?
All the way on the left, on the bottom, there's a little badge that says
oh, there it is. Get your drug interaction report.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Should I get started now?
Yeah. So,
all right.
So you can, and we can back out of it. But basically, I just want to explain what this is. So what this is a drug interaction database. So what we have right now is 206 prescription medications, both genetic and brand. And we look at if there is a reference that medication or the cannabinoids may actually impact the efficacy of that medication. So it can be an inhibitor. The level of what type of inhibitor changes from person to person, medication to medication. But to give you an example, if somebody's consuming a SSRI or like a serotonin inhibitor, like anti-anxiety or antidepressive depressive medication, which are that category, certain cannabinoids can actually impact the efficacy of that medication. So if you're taking cannabis with that, you should know. And And it doesn't, I mean, you can still consume it, but there's a guideline of when to take it and how to take it. Same thing with like blood thinner medication, a whole bunch of different medications. So this is really, really important because people have adverse reactions and they don't realize that it's because they're interacting with their prescription medication.
Yeah, I should check this out. Select medication. Next. Oh, I see. Well, you know what? We'll do that another time. But that's good to know.
Okay.
So
yeah.
okay.
So in your, you can scroll out. You just go back.
Okay.
And in the next week, I believe, we are also releasing a supplement and nutrient interaction database. I think it's 560 different nutrients and supplements. And the reason why is we started getting a lot of people during COVID that were asking, what do I take? The vitamin D and zinc and all these other things. And we're like, yeah, I mean, your doctors are prescribing, that's great, and go forward. But did you know that there are certain interactions with cannabinoids in those supplements? Well, no. Well, let's go and share that and help as many people
that's
have
good
a
to know.
positive experience.
All right. I have to see if my multivitamin
that's
interacts.
Yeah, well, we'll show you if you have predispositions to deficiencies as well here.
Right.
So I always try to suggest that you start with an overview of the summary. So you can scroll up a little bit, hit where it says overview.
Okay. I am now clicking overview.
Yes. And the overview, wow, I'm interesting. That's interesting.
You're scaring me. I don't know what's interesting.
Well, no. It's actually much.
It's less.
No, it actually
disturbing.
The opposite. So, yeah, exactly. it definitely is. So, I'll just explain what we're looking at. So, the colors, there's a report, there's a summary, and the colors mean green means that there's no variant detected. So there's no genetic polymorphism or genetic predisposition that's been detected. Yellow means there is a genetic predisposition that's been detected.
Schizophrenia.
Just one variant.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't concern that much with it, but it does lend to psychosis. So there's a gene. I'll explain that one.
Mm-hmm.
And red means there's multiple genotypes, which gives you even a higher predisposition.
So that pink, what's this? Is that reddish pink?
Yeah,
that might just be pink on my a reddish pink. Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm scrolling
let's start from the top and just kind of scroll through, and I'll read through. So the anxiety reports, where there's stress, fear extinction, PTSD, stress, you don't have any variants detected.
Which is interesting because I have been diagnosed with anxiety. Maybe it's all in my head, literally.
Well, it's not. There's no genetic variant. That's the whole thing. So this is really important to know. Impulsivity, no. Schizophrenia. Now, what I want to point out there is this is not a diagnosis of schizophrenia. There is, if you just click on that variant detected in schizophrenia, so I'll explain what that is. So basically, it says your genotype is associated with a risk of developing an increased risk of developing schizophrenia. Now, it's a very, very, very minor risk, but however, what happens is if you have genetic predisposition towards this, then taking high doses of THC can trigger psychosis. Psychosis over longer periods of time has been associated with schizophrenia. So there is a reference to that. Scroll down a little bit on the report and I'll.
Sure.
Yeah, so it just says you're associated with a slightly increased risk. That's all.
Okay. But that could maybe explain why I get a little paranoid when I get too much THC in my system.
Exactly. It's psychosis. There's two genes that's CNR1, which is a cannabinoid receptor gene, and there's another one called AKT1, and we'll look at both of those.
Okay. Should I go back?
Yeah, you can go back.
Okay.
Working memory impairment. So when you're consuming cannabis, there's an association with working memory impairment.
That is for absolute 100% for sure that I have some memory issues with when
now the good news is that it's temporary, meaning that when the receptor unbinds itself, then you're good to go. But under the influence of that receptor being bound at CB1, which is THC, it impacts your memory more than the average population.
Very interesting. All right.
Let's see.
Irritable bowel disease.
Yeah.
I mean, that's every Jew on the planet. That's the Jew gene.
Digestive report. Well, viral hepatitis. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, there's definitely, but irritable bowel is actually related to stress.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a gene called FAH, F-A-H, that produces that enzyme that helps to regulate stress. And it breaks down anandamide, which your body releases as your bliss hormone. And what happens over time when people are prone to stress, that cortisol that's being released in your bloodstream, it starts moving into your gut and actually affects your gut, the lining of your gut, because you're more acidic. So that I've seen a lot of that, Crohn's, colitis, like all that kind of stuff. And there's a correlation between that and stress.
And viral hepatitis, what is that all about? That just means I'm more prone to that, or does that mean
you have a genetic predisposition to that. So just stay away from anybody with hepatitis.
Hepatitis, yeah, I would like to not be near that person.
I see some alcohol
reds.
dependence.
That's interesting because I've never had cocaine in my life, so I probably should stay away from it.
You probably should stay away from it, but you don't have opioid dependence, so you can take as many oxys as you can. You and Rush Limbaugh can hang out and pop.
That's
glasses
fantastic.
Full of pills.
And then alcohol dependence, it's true. So, I know my grandfather was an alcoholic.
Mine too.
I do not, I don't feel that. I mean, that probably is, that's interesting. That's in my genetic makeup because I definitely do not have an alcohol dependence. If anything, sometimes it just gives me a bad headache.
You don't enjoy it.
I don't particularly enjoy it, which is good.
If you liked it, you would like it maybe too much.
Yeah.
I have the same kind of thing. I don't really enjoy alcohol either. So
there it is. I do have a psychostimulant dependence, which is, what would that be? Like
stimulants, uppers,
psychostimulant dependence. Okay.
Any type of upper.
I mean, I don't have that. I'm just saying that it says that my genetic, that I could possibly have a psychostimulant.
You have a predisposition to psychostimulant dependence.
And then if we go down here, so I have pretty good fitness on blood pressure, muscle.
By the way, just so you know, this metabolism on CBD and THC, it's really, really important. The drug metabolism reports. So you do not have any genetic predispositions that would cause you to be a poor metabolizer. And that means edibles. Besides having like higher THC, which triggers a psychosis gene, you don't have anything in your genetic predisposition that will, cause you to experience edibles worse than the average population.
Well, that's interesting.
I see that one of those a lot in a lot of different reports. There's a series of genes called Cytochrome P450, and they're responsible for metabolism. And CYP2C9 is the gene that metabolizes THC through your digestive system in your liver, and CYP2C19 is CBD. So if you have that, you would just adjust your dosing. But if you really are a poor metabolizer of THC, I strongly suggest limiting edibles.
Right. Well, that's interesting because I would think that just based on my experience, I seem to have a fairly slow metabolism, but I'm glad to know that my genes do not indicate that. Again, It's probably just me being fat.
Well, no, you may have we haven't gotten to the metabolism reports.
I see.
Strictly for drug metabolism, CBD and THC.
I see.
So you still have an excuse.
Okay.
Wait for it. Just
wait, and wait will come into effect. So you have this thing called host susceptibility reports.
Yeah.
I'm read for something called allergic rhinitis, which is interesting. Is that like a sinus type thing?
Yeah, it's an allergy. It's a sinus allergy. So I'll explain why we did these. And everybody takes reports, gets all the reports on lifetime updates. But we did this as a complementary report when COVID started to show people where they have a genetic predisposition to possibly having some immune susceptibility. So people that have severity of influenza or susceptible to influenza or susceptible to allergic rhinitis, which is allergies, there's a correlation between some of these factors in your immune system and having some comorbidity. So what we're trying to do is empower people with information. If you have something like that, just be more cautious than the average person and just be aware and work on your immune system. So strengthen your immune system. That's all it means.
All right. So two things I got to look at: allergic rhinitis and severity of influenza. And then we go into my metabolism reports. Here we go. These are just, explain this to me. What am I looking at here?
Well, so this says you have a genetic predisposition to non-metabolizing caffeine really well. Also non-metabolizing carbohydrates really well. You don't metabolize fat, and you have a predisposition to above average body weight. So these are all your, markers that you can.
I didn't have a chance. I haven't had it. They didn't even give me a chance. I was born with the ability to be a little bit
obesity, saturated fat.
Yep.
And weight management,
Okay.
which, by the way, I just want to preface this so everybody understands. I had a conversation with a scientist today, and it got into a little bit of an argument because they're a scientist, and I'm a sciencey guy. So
yeah,
they have initials, and so they know better. But the thing that I said, you're born with certain genetic predispositions that you can't change. Certain ones, like your eye color, your skin color, your height, male pattern baldness and all that stuff. These are things that you're born with. They're in your genetic code. They're encoded in you. And then the other genes that you have, you can control with an on-off switch, because you have this genetic predisposition. There's action that you can take in your lifestyle, like putting good things in your body, exercising, supplement, all these different things you can control. And he was like, well, I believe that you can control all of your genes. You can actually modify your genes. I said, okay, well, you can modify your genes through CRISPR or a technology that can take out a gene and modify it. But if I'm meant to be, 6 foot tall, I'm just saying, I'm
you
5'8".
can't will yourself to be.
I can stretch on anywhere I want for hours a day. I am not going to be 6 foot tall if I'm 5'8". No matter what I do, I don't care what you put in your body. My parents were saying, hang off a bar, eat carrots, whatever it is,
Right.
it's not going to work. So that's the point. So those things are not, you can't change those, but a lot of them you can. And that's the whole point of this. Give you information so you can take better control.
How do you know what you can change and what you can't?
So all these you can change.
Okay.
All of them.
These are all of them.
All the genes, there's only certain genes that you cannot do anything about, which are those, the ones that I mentioned. A lot of genes you can change through lifestyle.
So looking at my mood reports here, I'm pretty orange yellow for being depressive, overall happiness, response to social situations, except I'm in the red for seasonal mood problems, and which is probably why I'm pretty blue today. It's the fall.
Is it the equinox?
Is it the equinox? It's Shana Tova. I don't know. Yeah. No, I mean, I've never been a depressed person, or at least diagnosed that way, but I certainly can. I know I definitely have a propensity to be mood, to have mood swings. That's interesting. Okay. And then I don't want to go through too much detail here, but in terms of musculoskeletal immune reports, what does that mean? I'm in the red for something called treatment response.
Yeah. You respond to treatment worse than the average population.
Okay.
When we pull up a report, you know what? Let's, just for the sake of time. Click on one of the mood ones. That's an easy one to explain. By the way, we'll go to the THC side effects. Go to major depressive feelings.
Sure. We have a variant detected. Okay. Major depressive feelings.
So what it says, you have at least one endocannabinoid system genotype, which is associated with an increased risk of depressive feelings. You should monitor yourself for signs of depressive feelings, particularly if you have experienced early life stress or significant recent stress. Well, I mean, who has not?
Who has not? I mean, you live in 2020 and you haven't felt stressed. There's something very wrong with you.
Yeah, you're medicated.
Yeah, exactly. Severely medicated.
So I'm gonna hit this in a second where it's got the suggestion, but scroll down to the science for a second.
Okay.
So this tells you how to read the report. We're looking at CNR1 and CNR2. But so it says, Jonathan, you may have a higher or may have an elevated risk of developing depressive feelings. So you have your gene, your genotype. There's also a peer-reviewed reference. So everything we say has a scientific reference that you can click and you can go and it's been peer-reviewed. There's also how you can compare to other populations. So if you click on that link in the middle where it says, how do you compare to other populations? Yeah, any one of them.
Okay.
What it shows you is like general population, then it depends on what your ancestry is. So East Asian population versus American population versus European population. You can see how you can compare to different population groups.
Interesting. What is the red is I don't compare.
Yeah.
So I'm I compare pretty well European, which makes sense because that's my background.
Right.
European.
Exactly.
Eastern European.
So, yeah,
okay.
you can close that out. On the bottom of this is an FAQ. So the FAQ shows you, different information on how the endocannabinoid system is involved in depression, for instance. So you can see that. But scroll up a little bit, back to the suggestions, and I will explain this. So the suggestion says, and this is only if you are one of two things. Either you're feeling, you have some depressive feelings, so that gene is being expressed, or you want to avoid the possible expression of that gene because you already have knowledge about that this is possible to turn on. So it gives you a ratio. Because you didn't take the survey, we don't know your experience with THC. So we give you a general ratio of CBD to THC. So start 20-1 all the way to 1-1, which is more balanced. And like if my mom, who's never taken THC, she would start with 20-1. Maybe you would start something that's more balanced 1-1. Okay. The second thing is your terpene profile. And this is where your secret sauce comes in. You have suggestions for limonene and linalool. And if you want to click on the word where it says cognitive, it'll explain why linalool. And
Sure.
So just click on the word limonene right next to it, right next to where it says cannabinoids.
Okay, limonene. There we go. It's about limonene.
So so what it says is the limonene may reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. And then it has a reference. And if you look at linalool, which is right next to that, it says the linalool may lessen the anxiety that's provoked by THC. So we talked about anxiety and all that stuff. And you mentioned that you had some feelings of stress and anxiety when you've consumed cannabis before. You don't have a genetic predisposition to that. But what's happening is if you're taking too much THC with a different terpene profile, it may be affecting you in that way. Your friend is more of a linalool, something that's calming. So even if you don't know what strain you're consuming, your nose knows. It's got this lavender kind of smell.
Like a lavendery smell.
Yeah. Okay. So if anything, if you want to avoid that kind of down feeling, I would avoid anything that smells skunky and diesely. Okay.
Sour diesel, not for me.
Well,
no. It depends.
I don't know. It depends.
It depends what the terpene profile is.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm looking for stuff with linalool and limonene. Okay.
Yeah, limonene. Yeah. You can close that out, and I'll. Let's go back to the. We'll come back to this in 1 second, but let's go back to your side effects, THC side effects.
All right. I think there it is. THC side effects.
So you don't have any.
I don't have any.
No. So you can smoke as much as you want. I would wake up with
excuse me. I'm just going to light up a J right here.
Go for it.
No, I'm good. Okay.
We should have one of those episodes. And then read the reports. I
don't think my genes have talked to my brain recently, because I think it's probably more the freak out. It's not. It's interesting. It's more my brain's reaction to the way I'm feeling than what I'm feeling.
That's exactly it. It's your brain's reaction, because when you're flooded with THC, your receptors are flooded. Now you begin telling yourself a story. Yeah. And that story starts perpetuating a story. So there's nothing in your genetic profile that shows a possible adverse event that you're genetically predisposed to.
Interesting.
Right. But then there are some vitamin reports that shows you have a genetic predisposition to deficiencies in B12.
B12 and B6. Okay. I usually need vitamin E, which doesn't seem to be on here, but
well, not yet. We're working on that. So any report you want to click, any one of them, doesn't matter which one, just click. I want to go to the wellness plan and the products.
All right. So should I go back, or should I click on one of these vitamin report things?
I'm not sure if they'll take you. Let's see if you click the vitamin, if it takes you to the wellness plan. Yeah. So yeah, that's your vitamin deficiency predisposition, and tells you how to lower it. So click on where it says your personalized wellness plan. So your personalized wellness plan is really your Bob from Iowa summary. It looks at, and when you take the survey, it'll combine those things together, but it looks at every single genetic predisposition where you have an elevated risk.
Mm-hmm.
It shows you your suggestion for that specific symptomatic condition, what you're feeling.
Yep.
And what ratio of cannabinoids and terpenes are appropriate for you to take.
Interesting.
So if you,
what you would, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Len.
well, I was saying if you have, depressive feelings, this is your formulation, limonene and linalool. If you have, predisposition to dependence and you have some markers that on there, the full spectrum CBD, try not to take too much THC to boost your immune. This is your formulation for immune. It's got beta caryophyllene and humulene. And then if you scroll all the way down, as you're going through these.
So cognitive. So these are the different feelings. So I'm just trying to understand which one I should follow here.
Yeah. So you see where it says relevant reports major depressive feelings. So if you're feeling depressed, this is your formulation. If you don't want to feel depressed, if you're feeling, scroll down a little bit.
Yep. If
you have some immunal issues and challenges, this is your formulation to help with the.
Wow. 1 to 20, possibly.
Well, possibly because some of them have a pain associated with that. Mm-hmm. And you want to increase your THC to help with the pain, while the inflammation is being reduced by the CBD, and beta caryophyllene is actually an anti-inflammatory terpene, and humulene works really well with that as well. And then you have relief, which is for joint pain, etc., and unwind, which is for insomnia.
Okay.
If you have any, you have bruxism and insomnia genes. So
what are bruxism? What is bruxism?
It's grinding your teeth.
Oh, I really have that. I know I have that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I never knew I had that. I went to the dentist to get my teeth cleaned, and he was like, "You grind your teeth." I said, "I do not grind my teeth." They want you to wear that mouth guard, which I just. And I'm not wearing anything.
I'm not wearing no mouth guard. There's nothing says quite like sexy than a man in his mouth guard.
Yes. I was dating this girl, and she had to take it out all the time.
This is
really sexy. I was like, I'm not in the mood.
Yeah, exactly. There's just something about it.
So this is enough information to go out and get a product. But we took it a step further. If you click that order now button, by the way, we don't sell any products. This is a database of different products, and it uses an algorithm to show you what the percentage of match that product has based on their certificate of analysis, their test results, and see how closely that product matches your suggested ratio for a certain indication. So these are for unwind and bruxism. Yeah. And you can look for, there's flower here, depends on,
so it's recommending products to me, and these are products that you have relationships with these companies.
Products that, well, it's not only that we have a relationship, these companies were willing to provide us certificates of analysis.
Oh, great.
We run the algorithm, match them. And if it's a THC product, you can click on and go to their website and they'll tell you where to buy it. If it's a CBD product, you can buy it directly through that manufacturer, and it gives you a percentage of match. And if you want to, you see the little badge that has the heart with two hands?
Yes. Right
all
here.
The way to the right?
Yeah.
So that is a personal assistant that shows you, if you say, oh my God, right now I'm having some issues with anxiety or depression. If you click on that, it'll take you to all the products that match that indication.
Oh, that's really interesting. Okay.
So and it'll take you that. You can also go by categories. So you can, all I want is gummies, or all I want is tinctures, or show me anything that's just a topical. And then you can then contain CBD only, or you can go to THC and CBD, or THC only. So there's different ways to be able to navigate through this.
So, wow. So I'm really seeing some very interesting things for my different things that I want to do. I see focus, full spectrum, immune, relief, response, unwind.
Yeah. But by the way, just, John, like, this is the thing that I think people always ask, and I want to put it out there. You didn't, but maybe that you're thinking it. So I'm kind of reading your mind.
I want to ask it. What do people ask?
I have a gene for that.
Yeah.
So can you just recommend or suggest one single thing? What is my formula? And the answer I have to that doesn't exist. There is no one single pill for anything. It depends what it is that you want to address. So I kind of use the analogy of NyQuil and DayQuil. So if it's during the day and I need to work on my focus, so I have my daytime formula. Like, I take my daytime tincture. This is what I consume during the day. That's my, focus formula for helps me my ADD. that's my Dayquil. And then my NyQuil is a formulation that's much higher THC with a completely different terpene profile. So your NyQuil and your Dayquil. Hopefully you won't take your NyQuil during the day and vice versa, and you'll be all right.
That is really interesting. All right. This is fascinating. Do we want to go through some of your things? Is there something that is in your particular genetic profile that might be interesting to our listeners to know about?
Maybe I don't remember. So it'll be a surprise.
It'll be a revelation for me. I can't wait to see what makes Len tick.
I think mine is very similar to yours, by the way.
Okay, and that's probably because we have a similar Jew gene and come from a certain. By the way, did you see? You don't have to tell me what it was, but did you see the Jew gene in there?
Yes.
Okay, that was it's the teeth grinding thing. I'm not going to say, but I just think that it is. All right. Did you want to share? I'm just kidding. Do you want to share your screen?
Sure.
All right. So I'll stop sharing mine. And for our engineer, you can pause here. Actually, maybe I should just pause.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can share my screen.
Oh, you don't have to. You can also just tell me.
It's not letting me.
You don't really. I mean, you can tell me like, okay, I'm looking at this. And
oh, wait, now it is. Hold on. I have to make it full screen. Okay.
Cool. Wait, I'm going to escape. All right. Got it. Tell me when you want to go, and I'm going to press unpause. Wait.
I'm logged in.
All right. All right. So now we're looking at your screen. And wow, look at that. What the heck? That is amazing. No, we're not even looking at anything yet. But tell me, what are some of the things that you are surprised about, or that actually makes sense, given, you know, you are somebody that actively takes a lot of different CBD products and cannabis products. So are there things that it sort of makes sense for you, based on what you're seeing now?
Well, I think I logged into the wrong account. Hold on one second.
You might be you might be looking at, is that my?
I think this is a test account. Can we just
yeah, I paused again.
Yeah, okay.
I'm resuming here, and let me resume one other place. Okay, so now we're looking at your
we're looking at mine. So well, let's compare. So I also do not have any of the anxiety markers, no stress reactivity. I do have a little bit of impulsivity, and I do have some working memory impairment, which is true when I'm high. I definitely don't remember. I'm bad with memory anyway, especially names, but I remember weird things, like
weird facts from your past. Yeah.
And yeah, but even the way that I remember, it's like little movie clips. I was just talking to my buddy the other day, and I was like, remember we went so-and-so? He's like, I have no recollection. I'm like, what do you mean? You're wearing this. We walked to the club. There was Jamie here. And he's like, I don't even understand how you remember these things. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not idea.
Yeah, you're that guy. Squirrel.
Yeah, unimportant things. So let's see. Let's go through this and see if there's anything else. And by the way, stop me if you have any questions. So I don't have the IBD.
Oh, interesting. Wow, big cocaine dependence.
I definitely do not like cocaine.
Right.
So I am very grateful that I don't like cocaine.
Yeah.
Now my things were always more down than up. I wasn't a big, like, alcohol is not my thing.
Yeah.
I don't like uppers. Uppers are not my thing. Now I do enjoy downers, or I did enjoy downers, and one of my favorites was real opium, which luckily for me, I do not have an opiate dependence. So
that worked out.
But opium was, I can see where people.
Did you have that during your travels to Burma?
My opium den days.
Yeah, in your opium den.
We used to sit there in the opium den and just hang out with my buddies there. No, I actually had it shipped to me from Afghanistan.
Oh wow, cool.
It's interesting.
Real opium.
Yeah. Basically, the stuff that they get now, but there's more control. I don't want to talk about it because I don't.
No, yeah, that's not.
But we all know. We know what's going on.
Drug. Okay.
I don't have any metabolism, drug metabolism. I'm good with CBD and THC, so edibles are not my issue. I also have allergic rhinitis, which kind of makes sense because I used to get allergies a lot on the East Coast, a lot. Like seasonal allergies were the worst.
Yeah.
But I don't get them here. I don't get them in LA.
Man, I have the opposite. But anyway, that's interesting. So we both share that because I get them here, but I never had them in the East Coast.
And I'll tell you so I never get sick. Not going.
Yeah. That's great.
But when I get sick, I get
sick.
Knocked down. So 5 years ago, I got the flu, which was, I think, my first flu. And I'm like, I don't even know what this is. I was really sick and my fever was high and I decided not to go to the doctor. I don't go to the doctors anyway. But I ended up having to go to see my doctor, Dr. Chen, who's really a DO of Chinese medicine. That's the only doctor I go to.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, hold on a second. When I came in, she took my 2 pulses and looked at my tongue, yelled at me as she always does that I brushed my tongue, which I shouldn't brush my tongue because there's a lot of things that your tongue tells you, but it can also tell you have pretty bad breath.
Yeah.
So I try to brush my tongue as often as I can. So she comes back and she puts a mask on and she goes, hey, have you been near anybody from Africa? And I said, as a matter of fact, Sasha is my daughter. We were helping to feed the homeless and we used to do this every weekend and like pack food and drive around. But we were working with a family from Eritrea, from Africa. Really nice family. And didn't think I said, yeah, as a matter of fact. She goes, Ebola. I said, what?
Oh, shit.
I was like, Ebola? What do you mean? And and she actually thought I had Ebola.
Holy crap.
But then I started Googling, like, bleeding from the eyes.
You're not bleeding from the eyes. You're not.
None of that was happening.
That's terrifying. That would have.
I know, it was terrifying. And then I had to quarantine myself. So what happened was I got the flu, which turned to be pneumonia because I didn't treat it. So for 3 days, I mean, there were people trying to come to my house, leave me food. I could not get up. I couldn't even move from a place on the couch. I slept. I had 103 something fever for 3 days. I wore like 2 sweatshirts. I was freezing the whole time and everything hurt, even blinking hurt. And I had to cough. And every time I cough, I thought my head was going to explode. So she would call me twice a day, every single day. And she would be like, how's the fever? Are you feeling better? And she would give me herbs. So I cooked these herbs and they tasted horrible, but I would drink those like the liquid of herbs every day. And third day comes and she calls me on. She's like, if the fever doesn't break, and she speaks with a heavy accent. I'm not doing it now. If fever doesn't break, then you have to go to the emergency room. And luckily on that day it broke to 101 and I started feeling better. For 3 days, I was dying. So when I actually get sick, I get really, really sick. That was the point of that whole long story.
Wow. That's crazy.
But I
get sick. And I mean, I know I'm, I guess the same way. And that's why we don't want to get the COVID.
No, but I'm not concerned because that experience helped me get antibodies.
That's great. Yeah. You got to get antibodies too. You got to get sick a little bit. And then, all right. We do have very similar genetic makeup. My God, maybe we're related.
I do not have major depressive feelings though.
Okay.
I do have some seasonal mood.
That makes me sad that you don't get depressive feelings.
I'm not depressed. I'm not anxious.
I just get sad and everything. You do have seasonal mood problems, however.
I do. That's why I live in LA, so I can avoid all that horrible seasonal stuff on the East Coast. It was the worst. So overall, I think that I definitely am prone to fibromyalgia, bruxism, insomnia.
You have a little bit of insomnia.
You know what it is with insomnia? I hate going to sleep, and you're
just missing out. You're just missing out on everything.
I hate it. Well, here's a story. All right? I don't know if this is interesting to anybody, but it's interesting to me, so I'm going to tell it. So my mom, when I was growing up, Philly summer is very similar to New York summer. It's
Humid.
hot and humid, and it's the worst. My mom said she was allergic to air conditioning. So in my room, as I sleep, all I had was a little fan.
Oh God.
And it would blow hot air. So and my parents would force me to go to sleep. And I go to bed with this, and I could not sleep. I hated it. So I have it in my head, and I would, I think we talked about it before, I would make mixed tapes.
Yeah.
Like I would sit there with a radio and the tape recorder. So I still think I have some of this that I never go to sleep unless I am exhausted. Like I have to be super, super tired to go, and then I just pass out. So maybe there is a little bit of that insomnia where
yeah. It always goes back to our childhood somehow.
Yeah. And bruxism, but I do have some THC side effects. Look at that. I have
Interesting. A lot of them.
Impulsivity after THC use, schizophrenia after chronic THC use, which is that AKT1, which is psychosis, that gene. And then psychosomatic, which is psychosis-like effects, working memory. So yeah, this is the one that really is a concerning one. Not to me, because I kind of know what my thing is, but this gene, we talked about this before too. I'm going to repeat for those that didn't hear. I've had, over the last several months, I've had several people that actually contacted me and said they had a psychotic break.
Wow.
And all of them have the same exact profile. All of them. It's this gene, when triggered, you can have a psychotic episode.
So if you have this gene, which gene is this?
AKT1.
AKT1, you better be careful about chronic use of THC products.
Well,
right?
It's not just the gene, it's the genotype. So I'm going to, maybe I'll get geeky for a second, but I'll explain how it works. So, computers speak in a binary code, ones and zeros. Yep. And then you have the user interface on top of that, but behind that's ones and zeros, everything. So your genes communicate in 4 letters, a C, a T, an A, and a G. Those are called nucleotides. So the combination of those letters are your genotype. That's what makes you yours. So in that AKT1, the one that's associated with an increased risk of psychotic effects is the homozygous, which is the CC. It's the 2 letters that are identical. So it's not just, do you have that gene? It's which genotype on that. And it's not even the gene. It's called a SNP, a single nucleotide polymorphism. Once again, being geeky, so you can smack me around and say, raise it up a level. But
that's okay.
It's that genotype that is prevalent in that psychosis. And then when it's expressed, it's called a phenotype. So you have a genotype that's a genetic predisposition. When it's expressed, it's your phenotype. You're actually experiencing that in a moment. And that's it. I also have B12 deficiency. Maybe that is the
that's it. That's the elusive gene. It's all B12. Suddenly, after this podcast, there's a line of Jewish people out in front of CVS looking for B12.
I think you get a shot. Should I stop sharing?
Yeah. So to wrap up here, if people are interested in this test and this service, they do what, Len?
They go to EndoDNA and they just order the test.
The kit. And I have done clearly I have done the test. I can tell you that it is.
Yeah, you can order the kit and get it shipped to you. You can buy it in a store, or if you have your 23andMe or Ancestry, you can just upload your results from the raw data that you already own.
And how much is this?
So retail is for $199 for the full kit and $49.95 for the data upload. And we have Endoline products that are coming. We have all kinds of interesting things that I'll mention to our audience, where we have some products that are being developed by our partners that are going to be aligned with your DNA. And we'll give out maybe complimentary kits for people to try these products and get them honed in so they exactly know what they're getting. So those are kind of things.
That's exciting. Well, I'm looking forward to trying the products that are right for me, because I know that I'm looking for some linalool and, well, depending what I need to, limonene.
Linalool is your friend. It's a very, very nice calming terpene. And
I'm gonna look out for that one. I have so much CBD on my desk right now. I'm gonna look to see which ones have the linalool in them. if they do at all.
Hey, I have a question for you. Change topics for a minute.
Yes.
What do you think about this new thing of drive-in shows, live concerts?
Drive-in shows.
Have you heard about that?
No. What happens?
So right now, we talked about live concerts. When are live concerts going to come back?
Right.
Live concerts are coming back. They have
people
some now, but it's drive-in concerts.
Right.
So you
I
actually
like it.
drive to the fairground. You stay in your car. The
Yeah.
music is through your speaker in your car.
I love it.
You're not supposed to get out, but some people are getting out.
Of course they do.
Get out. You stand next to your car, but you have to wear a mask.
I mean, what's not to like about that? I mean, of course, it's not as good as going to the Hollywood Bowl, but honestly, my son, who is in a band, they have been talking about this in their school. Well, he's in a band. He's in a music school, right? And they have a jazz band, and they're talking about doing performances where everybody will drive into the parking lot and they'll perform, and everybody will stay in their car. I love this idea. I love the idea of getting people out of their houses in some way or another. So I'm all for it. And it would be particularly fun to go to like a hip hop concert in your car and just rock. It's just like the old days when people used to go to drive-in movies, right? With their or like the Flintstones, where they have to bring the big horn. And now I'm really aging myself here, but they had that big horn, the big tusk that they put in the car. I have never been in my life to a drive-in movie theater. So I'm excited about this opportunity. So what are you hearing? Is this going to be happening in Los Angeles?
Oh yeah, well, it's already happening. So Cypress Hill announced a show.
Oh, terrific.
They're doing a show, and Sublime is doing a show.
Sublime still around?
Well, with Rome. Sublime with Rome. It's the new Sublime, which sounds, I don't want to say as good. You know that whole story, right?
No, I don't know this.
It was their friend.
Okay.
Who used to hang out with them.
Yeah.
And when what's his name? When he passed.
When the lead singer passed.
Yeah, when the lead singer passed, their friend took over, and he knows all the songs, and sings all the songs.
And he sounds a lot like that guy.
Sounds a lot like him. Yeah, very, very good. Yeah, I've seen him live a couple of times. It's really, really good. So I recommend it for anybody.
Oh, that's exciting. I think I have the Sublime gene. Some people really hate Sublime. I think they have almost a genomic predisposition to hating Sublime.
You hate Sublime?
No, I love them. But I know that I just talked to somebody recently who's like, that's my least favorite band in the world. And I was like,
really?
What? How could you not like Sublime? They just felt like they were like fake reggae, white boy reggae, and they're incredible. I don't like.
I don't think that's. I mean,
there's nothing wrong with that. And
what about No Doubt? I mean, there's so many.
Well, I don't think they liked any of that sort of sub Orange County's Long Beach, But I love it. It was such a unique time in California history, and that music was coming out of California, and it was really interesting and different. And yeah, like they hate. What's the other great band out of Minneapolis that I went and saw that does Amber is the Color of Her Energy?
311.
311. I love 311.
Amazing. I seen 311 a couple times.
Me too. Great. I just saw them with my son a few years ago. So, yeah. So I'm into it. I'm all in. I got the Sublime gene, and I'm all in with Cypress Hill too. It's funny. I like all the pothead bands. I love them.
Yeah, but think about this way. So, for sure. So think about this way. You're in your car. You're going to the fairground. I think it's in Orange County somewhere. I think it's in Irvine, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. But anyway, you're in your car, and Cypress Hill, and everybody's going to be, medicating at some level. I'm pretty sure in your car, but you're driving under the influence.
That is
as soon as you pull out. So how
are they going to monitor that? Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. So
unless you can Uber there, but then you're in a diseased Uber car.
Can you Uber?
They're going to have to figure that out.
Do they still have Uber in LA? We're trying to get rid of it.
Maybe not Uber, but whatever. Lyft over there. That's interesting.
I don't know. I'm just saying that, I like the movement, the forward movement of actually trying to get people and, go to concerts and shows. I think it's great to get out of the house.
Yeah.
I just
worried about the alcohol, especially with our teenage kids. I think it's definitely an issue. They'll probably have to have somebody like a cop or some sort of alcohol line. Listen, we got to give up something somewhere. I mean, you're either going to make the decision to go out and do something like that and be responsible, or you got to stay home. I don't know. People got to make sacrifices. Everybody wants everything. They want to be able to go out. They want to be able to drink. It's like, come on, dude. We're doing the best we can do.
Yeah, go out and have fun. I think
Yeah.
there's also, what's his name, Sully from Godsmack and Aaron Lewis from Stain. They're doing a show, also a drive-in show.
I could see like theater being done this way, and yeah, I think it's a pretty cool idea. I mean, I just hope it doesn't replace the real thing. Then people are never going to get out of their cars, or like, yeah. I mean,
yeah, I just got a tour of the new Rams and the Charger Stadium virtual tour.
Oh, cool.
And you can't go, but it's the stadium's half sold out. And they said they're going to have concerts there and all that stuff. And I said, when? I said, well, we don't know when, but everything's almost sold out. It's happening in 2021 is when they're going to even think of starting something.
Well, I can't tell you how many tickets to shows I have that were not honored. Billie Eilish.
Yep, me too.
What's her name? Alanis Morissette, the New Order, Pet Shop Boys.
Yep.
Got so many shows got signed coming in 2021. So I'm going to be, my 2021 is going to be concert packed, and they better.
Did you get refunds, by the way?
No, everything is just like, you're going to wait a year.
Yeah,
it's like it's as if like life just stopped for a year and we'll just resume next year. Of course, nobody really knows.
I have Guns N' Roses tickets too.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, and it's like I spent a lot on those, but yeah, I didn't get a refund.
Well, I'm hoping that
survive.
2021 is a lot better than 2020. Well, Len, this is always, this has been super fascinating and fun. And I feel like I know a lot more about my DNA. Not so happy about some of the things I found out, but I'm going to work on it. And I'm going to find my little CBD right after this conversation.
There you go. I got you, brother.
All right, man. Until next week.
Yes.
This is.
Thank you.
Everything is Personal.
Yes, it is.
Peace.